It all started in 1938, when Germany equipped two large-scale expeditions to Antarctica, with one and only purpose, which the intelligence officers of the former Soviet Union learned about a year later. Throughout the year, German planes surveyed an area of more than 8,000 square kilometers, marked it with a swastika and reported safely to the commander. Research on the part of Germany had the sole purpose of finding the city of the ancients, which, according to some sources, was located under the ice of Antarctica and was a warm oasis where people could calmly exist, according to German scientific researchers. Planet Earth has in its depths so-called huge hollow spaces. It was precisely such voids in the lands of Antarctica that the Germans were looking for. According to scientists, these voids were huge areas with continents, seas, mountains, and even the sun inside. Did the Germans find it? It is unknown, but the fact that since 1940 Hitler has been planning to build underground bases is a fact. The purpose of constructing Antarctic bases was quite prosaic at that time. The study and design of supernova weapons, but to this day Antarctica remains a very mysterious and inaccessible continent, and also has a special status in international jurisdiction. So what's hiding in Antarctica? That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. According to verified data, starting in 1942, the active transfer of the elite and outstanding geniuses of Germany began to the icy dungeons of Antarctica. Why was there such a rush? And what did Hitler really know? There are two versions on this matter. The first, Third Reich foresaw a possible failure in the war and provided for itself a safe place where the entire top elite of invaluable specialists could sit out for many years without the risk of being found. The second includes the first, but on a larger scale. German scientists, armed with new knowledge, in the relative peace of the ice, planned a search for alternative energy sources, new developments in the field of mechanical engineering. As found in the records of scientists who worked for Nazi Germany, the Germans were quite successful in creating incredible machines. If German scientists managed to create something like this in the second half of the 40s of the last century, they could have created it in absolute peace over the past decades. Also, some sources claim that Hitler did not actually die in the bunker, as many people think, but safely reached the secret place under Antarctica by submarine, and allegedly took part in the life of several underground bases. Is this true or are you oily? Write in the comments, have you heard about this hypothesis and what do you think? And we move on. No less surprising is the following observation: decades after the Great Patriotic War, in 1950, weather stations in Antarctica detected an amazing object. According to eyewitnesses, it had a cigar-shaped shape, moved absolutely silently and in a zigzag manner, hovering in the air several times. The son of Nizhny Novgorod scientist Arkady Nikolov also spoke about the fact that there may be a secret Nazi facility at the southernmost point of the Earth. The first person in the world to reach the pole of inaccessibility of Antarctica in 1958. That's what he said. It's hard to believe, but 13 years after the war, when half of the country was still in ruins, for some reason colossal funds were suddenly invested in my father's expedition. He led his team into the center of Antarctica in all-terrain vehicles at a speed of 5 kilometers per hour, risking falling into ice cracks several kilometers deep. Behind them they dragged a sleigh with diesel fuel weighing 30 tons. 2 people died from lung burns because they jumped out of the cockpits of all-terrain vehicles without special monkey fur masks, and 2 planes were washed into the ocean off the coast. Why such sacrifices? I do not rule out that the expedition to the pole was a cover, but in fact the USSR, like our other allies in World War II, were looking for traces of a Nazi base there. It is worth noting that the first to speak about the mysterious base in Antarctica was the German Hans Ulrich von Kranz. He managed to find a former SS officer, scientist Olaf White-Baker, who, as it turned out, saw the base with his own eyes. In 1938, White-Seeker came there as a scientific researcher, and in 1945 as a refugee who fled with other members of the SS order. According to von Kranz, by 1941 the population of the underground city reached 10,000 people. he was already fully self-sufficient in food. 100 kilometers from the coast, a huge oasis with a fertile soil layer covering an area of 5,000 kilometers was discovered, which was called the Garden of Eden, and by the end of 1943, the construction of a shipyard for repairing submarines was completed in the karst caves. The scale of the enterprise was such that mass production of submarines could easily be established there. Humanity has repeatedly tried to find this base 211. And all attempts ended tragically, as a rule, in the death and disappearance of people. Von Krantz describes all this in detail in the book Swastikas in the Ice. In 1947, an impressive American squadron of 14 ships set off to the shores of Antarctica in search of a Nazi base. In addition to the flagship aircraft carrier, it included 13 destroyers, more than 20 aircraft and helicopters, as well as 5,000 personnel. The operation was called a high jump, which in reality turned out to be not high at all. Flying over the coast, one of the American pilots noticed a mining quarry. A detachment of 500 people went to this place on heavy all-terrain vehicles with air support from several aircraft. Suddenly, fighters with crosses on their wings appeared in the sky and the landing party was destroyed in a few minutes. Then one of the US ships was blown up, and a column of water rose in its place. And quite unexpectedly, objects resembling flying saucers appeared in the sky. They silently rushed between the ships, like some kind of satanic and blue-black swallows with blood-red beaks. And they continuously spat murderous fire. Expedition member John Seierson recalled many years later. The whole nightmare lasted about 20 minutes. When the flying saucers returned underwater again, we began to count our losses. They were terrifying. The torn squadron returned to America and the matter was kept secret for a long time. The next victims were members of Jacques Cousteau's expedition. On the ship Calypso in 1973, its crew went to the land of Queen Fashion with an unofficial mission from the French intelligence services to find traces of Base 211. Cousteau's scuba divers discovered an underwater entrance to underground caves and made their way there. But all 5 people died in one of the tunnels. The expedition had to be urgently curtailed. Let's remember that according to the Antarctic Treaty, the entire region was demilitarized. In fact, according to eyewitnesses, there is a strong military presence at the South Pole. Why, if the continent is used only for research, and why is there a no-fly zone over a large part of Antarctica? This only makes sense if there is something to hide from prying eyes. Also strange is the design of the flag of the true south of Antarctica, which, strikingly, resembles the symbol in the Ethereum cryptocurrency system. The Through South design was introduced in 2020 and is used by National Antarctic Programs, an Antarctic non-profit organization and an expedition team. Let's go back to 2016. It was in this year that many world leaders such as Barack Obama, John Kerry, the Pope, and Patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church Kirill, and even the legendary astronomer Buzz Aldrin traveled to Antarctica. Aldrin was clearly amazed after visiting the South Pole. On the short message service Twitter, he addressed the public with a strange message, which was subsequently deleted. He wrote, "We are all in danger, this is evil itself," and posted a photo of Antarctica. No one could understand anything from the strange message. A few days later, it became known that Aldrin had suffered a heart attack and was taken to a New Zealand clinic for further treatment. Aldrin's cryptic tweet was deleted hours later without comment. Steve Quayle, author of Empire Under the Ice, in an interview with Greg Hunter of USA Watchdog, suggested that this visit may be related to Operation High Jump, the purpose of which was to destroy hidden Nazi bases at the South Pole. Kuhl points out in his work that numerous important institutions, government leaders, and financial sector industries supported Adolf Hitler in building the Third Reich, and that these same people supported the continuation of Nazi power after the end of World War II. And if everything Kuhl writes is in fact true, then whether the real center of power of the shadow government is located under the meter-thick ice in the depths of Antarctica, the evidence is now more than irrefutable. It seems true that there is a very real connection between secret underground bases in Antarctica, advanced UFO technology, an over-government cabal, the hidden funding of billionaires and the official version of a defunct Nazi regime. Cool writes that Antarctica was not chosen as a center of power by chance, because there are ancient and still active portals here, and given the Nazis' deep involvement in the occult and their practice of summoning these same demons and communicating with them, there is a clear symbiosis personifying evil, people and these entities on Earth. This is what Buzz Aldrin apparently wanted to convey to the world community, but was never able to. Although the initiates understood perfectly well what he meant. According to whistleblower Gene Decade Operation Disclosure, there are extensive underground military installations and maglev tunnel systems that operate at continental shelf and tectonic plate boundaries leading to other important military bases like Pine Gap in Australia. What living conclusion follows from this? And the fact that our world is structured so unusually that the fantasy of any writer cannot be compared with reality.